Frederick Forsyth. Frederick Forsyth dies at 86. Frederick Forsyth, the British author of The Day of the Jackal and other best-selling thrillers, has died after a brief illness, his literary agent said Monday. He was 86. Jonathan Lloyd, his agent, said, Forsyth died at home early Monday, surrounded by his family. We mourn the passing of one of the world's greatest thriller writers, Lloyd said. Born in Kent, in southern England in 1938, Forsyth served as a Royal Air Force pilot before becoming a foreign correspondent. He covered the attempted assassination of French President Charles de Gaulle in 1962, which provided inspiration for The Day of the Jackal, his best-selling political thriller about a professional assassin. Published in 1971, the book propelled him into global fame. It was made into a film in 1973 starring Edward Fox as the Jackal, and more recently a television series starring Eddie Redmayne and Lashana Lynch. In 2015, Forsyth told the BBC that he had also worked for the British intelligence agency MI6 for many years, starting from when he covered a civil war in Nigeria in the 1960s. Although Forsyth said he did other jobs for the agency, he said he was not paid for his services and it was hard to say no to officials seeking information. The zeitgeist was different, he told the BBC. The Cold War was very much on. He wrote more than 25 books including The Afghan, The Kill List, The Dogs of War, and The Fist of God that have sold over 75 million copies, Lloyd said. His publisher, Bill Scott Kerr, said that Revenge of Odessa, a sequel to the 1974 book The Odessa File that Forsyth worked on with fellow thriller author Tony Kent, will be published in August. Peter Easterby. Peter Easterby dies at 95. Miles Henry Easterby, invariably known as Peter, who has died at the age of 95, was not only one of the best and most successful dual-purpose trainers Britain has ever known, but also one of the most popular and most respected. Peter Easterby and his younger brother Mick had good teachers because they grew up under the wings of their father William, a farmer and amateur rider, and Uncle Walter, a trainer. From them, they absorbed an almost bottomless reserve of horsemanship and a very strong work ethic. Life was tough, and William farmed in various parts of Yorkshire before settling his family at Great Habden, near Malton. There, Peter, who had spent a short period away working for Frank Hartigan, but whose induction into racing had mainly come from the family, began training in 1950, still aged only 20. Walter Easterby was a very good trainer who enjoyed success with the small string which he handled, but even so, he cannot have foreseen the thousands of winners which would be churned out by his two nephews. Mick began training at Sheriff Hutton in 1961, and his grandson Tim, Peter's son, who, in a seamless transition, took over the license at Habton Grange when his father retired in 1994, aged 65. Thereafter, Peter remained an integral component of the stable and a regular at the Yorkshire racecourses. The horse who really put Peter on the map was Gold Hill, the Dieu d'Or, one of the best 2-year-olds in the North in 1963 when he won 5 consecutive 5-furlong races, including the Windsor Castle Stakes at Royal Ascot. Gold Hill achieved little as a 3-year-old before bouncing back to better than his previous best as a 4-year-old in 1965. Gary England. Gary England died at 85. Gary England, the legendary Oklahoma meteorologist who brought calm in the eye of the storm for over 4 decades, has died at age 85. Revered for his pioneering approach to severe weather forecasting, England wasn't just a weatherman, he was a lifeline for a state defined by its tornadoes. Born in Sealing, Oklahoma, England developed a fascination with storms as a teen. They terrified him, but they also drew him in, according to the Oklahoman. After serving in the Navy and earning a degree in meteorology from the University of Oklahoma, England began his career in broadcasting in 1971 at KTOK Radio. A year later, he joined KWTV, where he'd remain a fixture for 41 years. England helped revolutionize the way weather was reported. In 1981, a true pioneer, he became the first meteorologist in the world to use commercial Doppler radar to issue warnings to the public. His innovations, like storm arrival times, corner screen maps, and mobile video transmission, are now industry standards. More than the technology, It was his steady voice and plain-spoken delivery that endeared him to Oklahomans. He made complex weather science accessible, often peppering forecasts with colloquialisms and familiar turns of phrase. "It's Friday night in the big town," he'd say, words that became both comfort and signature. England's legacy is woven into the fabric of Oklahoma's identity. He earned national accolades, including the Edward R. Murrow Award, multiple Emmys, and an honorary doctorate from OU. He also made a cameo in Twister and served as the keynote speaker for the opening of the National Weather Center in Norman. Travis Carter. Championship-winning crew chief Travis Carter passes away. Travis Carter, a championship-winning crew chief and NASCAR team owner, has passed away at the age of 75. Former driver Rick Mast sparked concern on Monday with a post on social media saying that Carter was not doing well. A former NASCAR official then posted that Carter had been admitted into hospice. Tuesday morning, multiple industry members said that the former champion had passed away. This included Brian Keselowski, Kenny Wallace, and ESPN's Ryan McGee. "I want to send my sincere condolences to the family of Travis Carter," Hermie Sadler posted on X, the platform formerly known as Twitter. "I rented a shop from him for a few years, and we did good business together. And more importantly, he did everything he said he would, and then some to try and help me and my team. RIP to a good man." Carter enjoyed success as a crew chief in the Cup Series. His first season was spent guiding Benny Parsons. They celebrated one win together in 1973, and they ended the season as champions. He remained with Parsons through the 1975 season and celebrated another win. He then worked with Bobby Allison in 1976, Dave Marcis in 1977, and Stan Barrett in 1981. The most successful stretch of Carter's crew chief career was in 1981 to 88. He was the crew chief for Harry Gant, who was recently named to the NASCAR Hall of Fame. They celebrated 9 wins together and finished 4th or better in the championship standings in 4 seasons. Carter closed out his tenure as a crew chief with Morgan Shepherd, 5 races, Rick Mast, 13 races, Jimmy Spencer, 34 races, and Darrell Waltrip, 4 races. The post-championship-winning crew chief Travis Carter passes away, appeared first on alt_driver. Bruce Willis. Emma Willis reveals Bruce Willis's commitment to act amid health struggles. The world found out that Bruce Willis was diagnosed with aphasia, a form of dementia, in the spring of 2022. Almost a year later, Willis's family announced that he had a more specific diagnosis, frontotemporal dementia, FTD. However, before his illness became public knowledge, Willis was still working, appearing in films like Detective Night and A Day to Die, among others. In her upcoming book, Emma Willis, his wife, details the lengths the die-hard actor went to make the films he had already committed to. Emma Willis's book breaks silence on actors' early dementia struggles. Emma penned the book The Unexpected Journey as a guide for caretakers who are trying to make sense of life after receiving a diagnosis like dementia. Born from grief, shaped by love, and guided by purpose, this is the book I needed back when Bruce was first diagnosed, and I was frozen with fear and uncertainty, Willis wrote on Instagram. This is the book I trust will help the next caregiver. It is filled with support, insight, and the hope needed to navigate this journey. According to the Daily Beast, the book will detail how Bruce Willis was able to complete film projects. Not only was Bruce's dialogue cut down, but he also wore an earpiece. A trusted friend or team member could then feed him his lines. This information aligns with a 2022 LA Times article. It featured interviews with the cast and crew of Out of Death and other films. For Out of Death, director Mike Burns emailed the screenwriter asking them to cut Willis's dialogue by 5 pages. Crew also confirmed that he was using an earpiece. Michael Douglas. Michael Douglas has long been a force in American cinema, a man whose presence on screen carries both power and vulnerability. From his chilling brilliance in Wall Street to the emotional depth of the Kominsky Method and the quiet heroism in The American President, he's shown us characters that are deeply flawed, deeply human, and unforgettable. But now, the spotlight feels dimmer. Away from the public eye, Michael Douglas's health is very poor, and the risk of further decline may be growing. It's difficult to imagine someone so full of vitality, someone whose voice could shift from fierce to tender in an instant, now facing such quiet battles behind closed doors. His once unshakable stride is more cautious now. The energy that carried him through decades of performances, activism, and family life flickers in and out. Yet through it all, Michael remains dignified, grounded in the love of his family and the strength of a life fully lived. He has weathered storms before, cancer, loss, the weight of legacy, and faced them all with remarkable resilience. But this chapter feels heavier, more uncertain. His family and friends walk beside him with care, watching closely, hoping fiercely. Every good day is a gift, every laugh shared a small miracle. And still, even now, Michael teaches us something. He reminds us that greatness is not only in our triumphs, but in how we endure, in how we carry ourselves when the cameras are off. He has given us decades of unforgettable stories. Now, we hold him in our thoughts as he writes the most personal chapter of all. Thank you, Michael Douglas, for your passion, your courage, and your heart. You've shaped the world of film and touched countless lives. May peace, love, and strength surround you now and always. Jim Carrey. He made the world laugh louder and feel deeper. With elastic expressions and unmatched energy, Jim Carrey became a force of nature on screen. An artist whose comedic brilliance in Ace Ventura, The Mask, and Dumb and Dumber was only rivaled by the depth he showed in The Truman Show and Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. But behind the laughter, behind the unforgettable characters, lives a man who has carried more than most ever knew. And now, in a chapter no one wanted to imagine, Jim Carrey's health is very poor, and the risk to his well-being may be increasing. To see someone who once lit up the world with boundless motion and joy grow quiet, and still is heartbreaking. The voice that once delivered punchlines now speaks more softly, if at all. The eyes that once sparkled with mischief carry the weight of weariness. For those who have loved him not just as a performer but as a person, this time feels especially heavy. Jim has always lived with intensity, whether in comedy, in art, in truth. He's never been afraid to show his soul, even when it trembled. He has faced darkness, shared his battles with mental health, and invited the world to see him not just as a celebrity, but as a human being seeking peace and meaning. He once said that depression is your avatar telling you it's tired of being the character you're trying to play. Now, we hope his real self, gentle, searching, brilliant, feels the love coming back to him from across the globe. Thank you, Jim Carrey, for every laugh, every tear, every truth. You've helped the world feel more alive. And now, we hold space for you, with love, with gratitude, and with hope for comfort and peace ahead. Tom Rafferty. Tom Rafferty dies at 70. Tom Rafferty, who played 14 seasons for the Dallas Cowboys as an offensive lineman and won a Super Bowl championship with the team, died Thursday at the age of 70. Rafferty had been hospitalized in Windsor, Colorado, since suffering a stroke in early May, his daughter told the Dallas Morning News. The Cowboys' fourth-round draft pick, number 119 overall, out of Penn State in 1976, Rafferty played his first 5 NFL seasons at guard before moving to center for the remainder of his career. He started 182 out of a possible 203 games, including 167 consecutive starts. Rafferty threw a key block for Dorsett's NFL record 99-yard touchdown run on January 3, 1983, versus the Minnesota Vikings. Amazingly, Dallas had only 10 men on the field for that play. For the past 17 years, Rafferty had battled transverse myelitis, a disorder that affects the central nervous system. He was hospitalized for 48 days and refused to use a wheelchair. He just kept at it until he could walk again, recalled Rafferty's daughter, Rachel Powers. No sensation below his waist, but he made it happen. Rafferty was one of 12 players in franchise history to play at least 14 years for the Cowboys. In his second season, Dallas defeated the Denver Broncos to win Super Bowl XII. The Cowboys lost Super Bowl XIII to the Pittsburgh Steelers the following year. His final season was 1989 for a 1-15 Cowboys team during Hall of Famer Troy Aikman's rookie year. With Aikman and Roger Staubach, Rafferty played with 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks. Tom Rafferty, the Cowboys' starting center for nearly the entire decade of the 80s, has passed away at the age of 70. Wayne Lewis. Wayne Lewis dies at 68. Wayne Lewis, a founding member of the legendary R&B group Atlantic Starr, has died at the age of 68. The band confirmed his passing on June 6th through official statements shared on their Facebook and Instagram pages, noting that Lewis died on June 5, 2025. No cause of death has been disclosed. The group asked fans to keep his family in their thoughts and respect their privacy during this time. After co-founding the band in the late 1970s, Lewis served as both a vocalist and keyboardist, playing a central role in Atlantic Starr's rise to fame. He performed alongside his brothers David and Jonathan Lewis. The group, originally named New Band, changed its name at the request of record executive Herb Alpert, and soon gained attention in the R&B scene. Atlantic Starr eventually achieved crossover success with a series of chart-topping hits, including Secret Lovers, Always, and Masterpiece. Despite numerous lineup changes over the decades, Wayne Lewis remained a core member. In the band's most recent formation, he performed with his brother Jonathan, nephew Shama Carter, and vocalist Melissa Pierce. The group had scheduled a string of performances for the summer of 2025, including appearances at the Capitol Jazz Festival in Maryland and the Dell Music Center in Philadelphia. News of Lewis's passing prompted an outpouring of tributes from fans and fellow musicians across social media. One admirer called him the smoothest brother to hold the mic, while another thanked him for sharing your gift to the world. Fellow R&B group Rose Royce also honored him, expressing their, quote, deepest condolences to the family and Atlantic Starr. Norman Hutchins. Norman Hutchins died at 62. Pastor and gospel singer Norman Hutchins has died at the age of 62, his family said. Hutchins died at home in California on Friday after a long battle with diabetes and kidney failure, according to gospel radio station Praise 102.5. Who is Norman Hutchins? Born in Dover, Delaware, Hutchins began preaching at just 8 years old and was ordained by age 12. He launched his solo music career in 1992 with Sparrow Records and went on to release 10 albums across Sparrow, JDI, and IR Records, 7 of which charted on Billboard's Gospel Albums chart. But his music career took off after signing with JDI Records in 1999, producing hits such as Nobody But You, Battlefield, and Spontaneous Praise Volume 1. He went on to become one of the gospel's most inspirational voices. Hutchins earned multiple Dove, Stellar, and Grammy nominations, with signature songs like Jesus I Love You and God's Got a Blessing becoming gospel staples. In addition to his music, Hutchins was a pastor and founder of Frontline Ministries in Dover. He also served as Minister of Music at the West Angeles Church of God in Christ in Los Angeles. He held a master's degree in biblical counseling and a doctorate in church administration. Hutchins faced serious health challenges over the years, including temporary blindness and kidney failure caused by diabetes. In 2014, he revealed to Path magazine that his wife had donated a kidney for him. Following his death, tributes have poured in from across the gospel music community, honoring his enduring legacy as a gospel icon and minister. Eddie Garcia. Eddie Garcia dies at 65. Former Packers kicker Eddie Garcia died June 5th at his home in Poygan, Wisconsin, the team announced. He was 65. Garcia served as a member of the team's board of directors. The Packers drafted him in the 10th round in 1982, and he spent 3 seasons in the NFL. He pulled a muscle in the preseason of his rookie season, landing on injured reserve. Garcia handled kickoffs in 1983 before taking over for Hall of Famer Jan Stenerud in 1984. Garcia kicked in 7 games, going only 3 of 9 on field goals and 14 of 15 on extra points before he went on injured reserve with a hamstring injury, and Al Del Greco replaced him. Garcia was waived before the 1985 season. A retired senior director with Oshkosh Defense of the Oshkosh Corporation, Garcia was elected to the Packers board in 2021 and served on the Sales and Marketing and Green Bay Packers Foundation committees. Tributes are pouring in for former NFL player-turned-board member Eddie Garcia following his death at the age of just 65 on Thursday. The news was released by the Packers on Tuesday night and was met with an outpouring of emotion from fans in Green Bay who knew Garcia well. The ex-kicker was drafted by the team in the 10th round in 1982, before playing for the team in 19 games across the 1983 and 1984 seasons. In 1984, a hamstring injury cut his season short and he was waived at the end of the campaign, though he remained a key part of the Packers going forward. Prior to arriving in the NFL, Garcia was a place kicker for the SMU Mustangs, where he is still tied for the all-time record of total field goals, 44. Walter Brueggemann. Walter Brueggemann dies at 92. Walter Brueggemann, one of the most widely respected Bible scholars of the past century, died June 5th at his home in Michigan. He was 92. The author of more than 100 books of theology and biblical criticism, Brueggemann was Professor Emeritus of Old Testament Studies at Columbia Theological Seminary in Decatur, Georgia, until his retirement in 2003. His specialty was the Hebrew Bible and especially the Hebrew prophets, and his books were aimed primarily at clergy and church leaders. But through sermons, Brueggemann's concepts have become familiar to many churchgoers. Though ordained, Brueggemann never served as a pastor of his own church. He was, however, a much sought-after and eloquent preacher and lecturer. He had incredible way to discern what was happening in the world and the church, and to speak into that with a much-needed word, said Conrad L. Kanagi, professor emeritus at Elizabethtown College in Pennsylvania, who wrote a biography of Brueggemann and edited some of his books. Brueggemann's books were broadly influential, especially in mainline Protestant circles. His 1978 The Prophetic Imagination sold more than 1 million copies and remains a classic that is still frequently assigned in mainline seminaries. In the book, he showed how the biblical prophets, called to imagine a different world, disrupted politics and the dominant culture and its assumptions. Brueggemann himself was critical of American consumerism, militarism, and nationalism. It is the vocation of the prophet to keep alive the ministry of imagination, to keep on conjuring and proposing future alternatives to the single one the king wants to urge as the only thinkable one, he wrote. Art Madrid. Art Madrid dies at 90. Art Madrid, who led La Mesa for nearly a quarter century and became one of San Diego County's longest-serving mayors, died Friday at age 90. First elected as a council member in 1981, Madrid helped guide the East County city through decades of growth and continued advocating for local issues long after he lost his last election in 2014. His death was announced Tuesday by city officials. No cause was given. Art Madrid devoted his life to serving the people of La Mesa, Mayor Mark Arapostathis said in a statement. His leadership left a lasting mark on our city. Madrid was praised this week by friends and former adversaries alike who remembered everything from his quirks, using Hail to the Chief as a ringtone, to his strongly held opinions. He was pro-Oktoberfest, anti-electronic billboards. The word passion came up more than once. So did his deep knowledge of the area. Mary England, president and CEO of the La Mesa Chamber of Commerce, recalled that you could point at seemingly any building and Madrid would be able to tell you when it was constructed and who the developer was, a history lesson only interrupted by passers-by wanting to greet their longtime leader. Madrid was born in 1934 in New Mexico. He moved to La Mesa when he was 17, served in the U.S. Marine Corps, and had a 35-year career at Pacific Bell. His roles at the telephone company included directing government relations. Madrid didn't enter elected politics until his 40s, but once he was in for the long haul. Madrid spent a decade on the city council before winning 6 straight terms as mayor. I think the most important thing an elected official has to do is listen to those you serve, Madrid once told the Union Tribune. Uriah Rennie. Uriah Rennie dies at 65. Uriah Rennie, the first black referee in the Premier League, has died aged 65, the Sheffield and Hallamshire County Football Association said on Sunday. Jamaican-born Rennie, who grew up in Sheffield, made history in 1997 when he refereed a Premier League match between Derby County and Wimbledon. He went on to officiate over 300 matches, including 175 games in England's top flight. We are deeply saddened to learn of the passing of our former chair and trailblazing referee, Uriah Rennie, the association said on social media. Our thoughts are with Uriah's family and friends at this difficult time. Rennie retired in 2008, and it would be 15 years before another black official took charge of a Premier League game, with Sam Allison officiating a match between Sheffield United and Luton Town in 2023. In April, Rennie told the BBC he was learning to walk again after being left paralyzed from the waist down by a rare condition. Incredibly sad to hear of the passing of referee Uriah Rennie, a pioneer, trailblazer, and a bloody good ref, former England and Liverpool player Stan Collymore said on social media. After his death was announced on Sunday, Howard Webb, the Professional Game Match Officials Board Limited (PGMOL) chief refereeing officer, paid tribute to his former colleague. Webb said in a statement, "Uri was not only a trailblazer who paved the way for many others after becoming the first black referee in the Premier League, he was a great person and a great referee who cared deeply about his community and helping people fulfill their potential." Sly Stone. Sly Stone dies at 82. Sly Stone, the revolutionary musician and dynamic showman, who Sly and the Family Stone transformed popular music in the 1960s and 70s and beyond, with such hits as Everyday People, Stand, and Family Affair, died Monday at age 82. Stone, born Sylvester Stewart, had been in poor health in recent years. His publicist, Carleen Donovan, said Stone died in Los Angeles surrounded by family after contending with chronic obstructive pulmonary disease and other ailments. Founded in 1966-67, Sly and the Family Stone was the first major group to include black and white men and women, and well embodied a time when anything seemed possible: riots and assassinations, communes and love-ins. The singers screeched, chanted, crooned, and hollered. The music was a blowout of frantic horns, rapid-fire guitar and locomotive rhythms, a melting pot of jazz, psychedelic rock, doo-wop, soul, and the early grooves of funk. Sly's time on top was brief, roughly from 1968 to 1971, but profound. No band better captured the gravity-defying euphoria of the Woodstock era, or more bravely addressed the crash which followed. From early songs as rousing as their titles, I Want to Take You Higher, Stand, to the sober aftermath of Family Affair and Runnin' Away, Sly and the Family Stone spoke for a generation whether or not it liked what they had to say. Stone's group began as a Bay Area sextet featuring Sly on keyboards, Larry Graham on bass, Sly's brother Freddie on guitar, sister Rose on vocals, Cynthia Robinson and Jerry Martini horns, and Greg Errico on drums. They debuted with the album A Whole New Thing and earned the title with their breakthrough single, Dance to the Music. It hit the top 10 in April 1968, the week the Rev.